awesome live stream. And for this video, we're going to be taking a look at the recently announced Harpie Lady Link monster. Now, I know I mentioned this in my live stream I did analyzing Harpies for the roosting. And I know a lot of people were like, it's not real, or it's not, you know, you're making stuff up. Well, I actually did. There was a link in the comments of that description to the magazine picture that we found that kind of announced it. And then, of course, then they announced this basically the next day. And today, basically like 2 hours ago, they gave us the effects. So in this video, we're going to talk about her effects and some of the combos that you can pull off with her. So for starters, she has 3 effects. She's a Link 4. She's a Link 2, sorry, Winged Beast. And her name is Harpie Conductor. So she has 3 effects, obviously. So her first effect is that she counts as Harpie Lady on field and graveyard. That's pretty much the most obvious effect that she would have, because she's a Harpie, meaning that if you really need to pop a spell and trap, rather than, you know, so many times I've been playing the deck, I'll be linking into Greatfly and they won't be able to pop something. I'm like, oh, I wish I could link into a Harpie and pop something, and so we can do that with the field spell. She doesn't give attack boost like a Greatfly does, but she does have an extra 500 attack points on Greatfly, so it's always situational in terms of which of these two you want to go into. 9 times out of 10, you're probably going to want to go into Conductor here. So, her second and third effects can only be used as a hard once per turn, and that's perfectly fine because they are quite powerful, and you could easily loop the third effect pretty easily. So her second effect is if a Harpie monster or monsters you control would be destroyed by battle or card effect, you can destroy a spell or trap you control instead. Now, this sounds kind of in terms of other decks, but you need to remember, Harpies love destroying their own spells and traps. In fact, there are 3 specific cards in the deck, in the archetype, that want to be destroyed. So you obviously have your Hysteric Sign, which when it's destroyed in the end phase, you get to add up to 3 Harpie cards from your deck to your hand with different names. And of course, Surge's Egotist on play. You have Split Mirrors of Seduction, that when it's destroyed by an opponent's, when it's destroyed by opponent's card effect, or specifically your Harpie card effect, obviously this comes more into play the fact that, you know, she's able to destroy, you know, Conductor's able to destroy your own spells and traps. You can special summon a Harpie monster from your graveyard, and then of course your Elegant Harpie Lady lets you add a Harpie, you know, sister's Harpie from your deck to your hand in end phase when it's destroyed. So obviously Elegant Harpie Lady isn't as super consistent in the deck as the others. You could always just play it for its destruction effect, but it does end up bricking you. Now that you specifically do need to run a particular monster I actually took out of my build because she just is designed to synergize so well with Conductor. Now, taking a look at Conductor's attack points, you can tell she is an obvious retrain of Harpie Queen. I obviously don't have an OCG copy of Harpie Queen yet, unfortunately, so we have to use the censored artwork. But you can see, you know, there's nice, obvious references to her in the artwork. And you can tell definitely with her attack points. I love that she's a Link 2. If they made her higher than a Link 2, she would be she wouldn't be hard to get out on the field, but considering that whilst you can spam the field relatively easily with Harpies now, you can't, you know, spam it super fast, so great that she's a Link 2. So, in terms of easy ways to get her out on the field, you obviously start off your plays with your Harpie Channeler. You discard whatever Harpie you want to special summon your Perfumer, which is pretty standard. She's going to go nab you your Elegant Egotist. You're going to play your Egotist. You're going to summon your sisters. And then, of course, if you have Oracle chilling in your hand, you can special summon Oracle, and boom, you have 4 monsters on the field. So then, of course, you can use your Oracle's effect to add Egotist back in the end phase. What I would normally do here is either go into Babushka, or you can, if you really need to, you know, if you're going second, like if you're going first, you want to make Babushka, right, just to slow your opponent down a little bit. But now, of course, if you're going second and you really want to bounce that special summoned monster, you know, you can, you know, link these two, make her, and then find some way to bring out Dancer from your hand as well if you're running with bounce, or just get some nice destruction protection, which is really cool. Her final effect is if a face-up Harpie monster you control other than her is returned to your hand, you can target one special summon monster your opponent controls and return to the hand. Now, this effect is obviously a little more situational than the other 2 effects, But basically, it's designed around the particular monster we know as Harpie Dancer. So Harpie Dancer was a monster I actually took out of my build because I felt she really didn't have much of a place until I read the third effect of Conductor. So basically, we know that Harpie Dancer's effect allows her to bounce a wind monster we control to our hand, to then normal summon another wind monster from our hand. There was always the old play we used to do in the old deck where we'd use Channeler to cheat out. We'd use Channeler to cheat out the barrier statue of the Stormwinds by special summoning, Dancer, and then bouncing Dancer to the hand, and then summoning the barrier statue. And if you really want to, you can still do that in the combo with this deck now, because she's going to get bounced to hand, meaning her effect is going to bounce one of your opponent's special summon monsters to hand anyway, so you're going to bounce their really, really annoying big thing that could beat over your barrier statue. Then you can just go ahead and normal your barrier statue, and then you're like, yeah, you can't special summon that monster that's going to beat over my barrier statue. The downside of this combo, of course, is that you don't have the Great Fly, 9 times out of 10 to boost the attack points of your barrier statue to get it up to 1500, and then if you have Harpie Lady 1, it's going to sit there at 1800 attack, which is relatively difficult to beat over for a normal summonable monster in a lot of decks. But the third effect, whilst it's really good, is something more of a situational aspect. So you may only really want to run 1 or 2 dancers in the deck. Like, I only used to run 2, maybe 1, because it's very situational. However, her effect to just protect them all is insane, because simply by she can protect all your Harpie monsters. So, like, if they drop a Raigeki or a Dark Hole or any mass destruction card on you, you just have to pop 1 card and you can save it. And because you love to destroy your own spells and traps in this deck, it's just infinite plus. So I really love that this card specifically is, you can tell she's a Harpie card. I know that, she's, you know what I mean? Like, it's hard to describe what I mean by that, but so many Link monsters we've seen have end up being used in other decks, like Isolde, which was designed for Noble Knights, we saw was used in basically all warrior decks. We can tell that Konami wanted this, even the Alien Link is another great example that works like this, that they're designed specifically for their archetype. They may be pseudo-splashable in the sense that, yes, she is 2 winged beast type monsters, but, you don't really want to splash her because all her effects specifically work with Harpies. And that's one thing that makes me so happy. I had someone, ask me that why don't I, shouldn't the last effect be banished? It would be better. Well, yes, it would. But you need to remember that last effect is actually a combination of Dancer and Harpist. So she does a similar job to Harpist, where Harpist is on the field, you can bounce, she's normal summon, you can bounce another Harpie monster you control the hand to bounce one of your opponent's monsters. So you can see that the influence of the older Harpie monsters is still very true on the newer Harpie cards. And that's one thing that makes me love this deck so much, the way that they're able to recycle each other and, emulate each other together, And once again, it's still the one true waifu deck of Yu-Gi-Oh! I mean, Cyber Dragons all count as Cyber Dragon, but they're machines, There's no other deck in Yu-Gi-Oh! Where every monster has the same name. And it's the really cool gimmick of how you're able to abuse the fact they're all called Harpie Lady. So you can bring Conductor back with Party, and none of her effects say she needs to point to anything, and that's what makes her even better. Comparing her to Holy Angel, where she only protects the tricksters she's pointing to, this can protect anything. Sadly, it is a hard once per turn, so if your opponent does randomly have 2 mass destruction spells in their hand, you're going to be in a bit of a pickle, but again, the chances of them having 2 mass destruction spells are very unlikely. Not many people run Dark Hole. Yeah, sure, they'll drop a Raigeki on all your Harpies, and then you'll just protect them, and you lose 1 spell or trap, they lose their board wipe, and you plus off it anyway. So definitely, guys, Harpie Conductor is one of the best Link monsters I've seen for archetypals. Maybe I'm just biased because she's for Harpies, but it makes me feel so good that we're not necessarily going to see her splashed in like 65,000 decks, and that's one thing that really, kind of turns me off Yu-Gi-Oh! That so much of the game is about throwing 60 different archetypes into one deck. And with Harpies, I love that I can just play them pure, and they're good pure. I know I was brainstorming a while back when we were thinking about Harpie Link, and, we wanted to search hysteric cards, and that's something I would love. Maybe we'll get a Link 3 that's basically a retrain of Sisters down the track that lets us search our hysteric cards, because I've said it in previous Harpie videos before, that Harpie's biggest weakness is searching the hysteric cards, Party and Sign. Party and Sign was so crucial to the deck, and yes, we do have searchable Elegant Egotist and searchable Fields, we do have a way to search all our cards faster with Perfumer, but we still can't search Sign. Sign is really slow, because we can't search it, we can't activate it and then destroy it to search in the same turn. But anyway, guys, that's just nitpicking. Guys, Harpie Conductor is insane. What more could you want from a Harpie Link? She's everything you need. Harpies have basically everything. They have Recycle. They have a hand trap that negates monster effects. They have Destruction Protection. They have a massive Call of the Horned. They have their own Soul Charge. They even have their own Raigeki if you really want to play it. They have one of the most broken spell cards in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm so happy that Konami has finally realized the potential of the Harpie deck and given us so much cool stuff. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you like this video, please remember to like and subscribe. Leave a comment below what you think about it, what this particular card, and do you think we'll be getting any new other Harpie cards? Maybe a Link 3, maybe a new XZ someone was talking about. As well as that, feel free to check out my other videos here where I've analysed Harpie's Feather Roosting, which is the searchable Pot of Avarice, as well as the analysis I've done on the other 4 Legend Duelist 4 Harpie cards, as well as whether or not you think the Feather Roosting will be rarity bumped in the TCG. I'm actually pretty worried it's going to turn into a bingo scenario. A lot of people are telling me that the Train spell is the best, the more sought after card because it's splashable and that would make it more expensive. I mean, yes, but bingo wasn't splashable and it's sitting around 50 to 60 bucks. But anyway, guys, that's just my analysis of the Harpie Lady Link. I'm definitely going to be working on a deck profile for the updated Harpie Pro for all this Harpie stuff. I unfortunately don't have OCG copies of the newer cards yet. I wasn't able to get boxes, so I won't be able to open any Legend Duels 4 for you guys. But if I do a deck profile, I'll probably end up using some proxies until the cards actually come out or I get them. And if you guys would love to see that, let me know in the comments below. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you for my next video.